Hi everybody, I'm Mark, and I am a Halloween addict, evidently. I don't know. um, I'm in Japan and I actually run an English school. And I have Halloween parties every year. They don't have any decorations here, so I had to learn and how to make my own, and also just had to make my own. These are some foam jack-o'-lantern mascots that I make. I make lots of different things out of foam. I've made treasure chest, palm trees, um, different skeleton designs, Halloween signs. Anyway, using this foam you can create large, very large decorations for relatively cheap. You can also, one of the nice things about them is that they're very light. These characters that I've already made all come from the website ZombiePumpkins.com, which is here. Plug him. And you can see that the characters that I made here, for example, this guy is based off this character right here. ZombiePumpkins.com, the artist and owner, Ryan Wickstrand, again, draws up different characters for his websites every year. And I take those original artwork and try to make a paper design, and I want to know and design how to layer the styrofoam so that we get a 3D sort of model of this. Layering the styrofoam is, in my opinion, the best way to go. Don't try to carve it. I mean, you can if you want, but if you just instead of carving into the foam, you can just layer your pieces so that you get again, let me get another one. You get a good 3D design. You get some natural shadows, and then we paint it up. And you can add shadows as well with paint. Anyway, let's not make this video any longer than it needs to be. You start with a paper design. I do anyway, and then we're going to take our paper design. We're going to transfer it onto the foam. So I draw this design on paper, and then I try to transfer that design onto the styrofoam. From there, you're just going to cut it out. I use paper overlays like this to trace the pieces then onto another set of styrofoam, and boom, put them all together, and that's what it looks like. But cutting out the pieces, I use these box cutters. I have a thicker, larger one for big pieces. When I do large pieces and I want large cuts, it just makes it a little bit faster and sturdier. If you need to do small angles, you can slightly make curves and turns with these, and if you get one of the thinner cutters, you can make those turns a little bit better. As far as cutting the styrofoam, like I said, you can, once you cut everything out, you can sand it, clean it up, trim it, that kind of thing, but it just takes time. One of the main points that I tell people is when you're cutting, especially if you're cutting a sharp edge, is you want to start, as best we can see this, you want to start above the cut. So basically you want to cut into the piece. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to go ahead and put this down, and I'm going to cut around. And as you cut, you want to not try to slice it, but more of a sawing motion. So you kind of cut it as you cut and saw at it and move. And you come through there and you get a nice clean line. Actually, would have been best to leave that there, not pop that off, because I want to come in and do this one as well. So again, you want to start into your cut. I'm going to kind of find the line here that I want to keep, and you come in around it like this, and you come down to your point here. Okay, and so again, I'm gonna go ahead and do this so you can see it. You're gonna come in again, and you're gonna cut down into your point. And there you get the cut lines meeting. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, when I put my knife in, if you put your knife in and you punch it like that, it causes a pushing motion. And it's not, again, it's a small thing, it just means you have to clean it up.
But when you push it like that, it causes the styrofoam to break instead of slice. Let me go ahead and cut this piece out. And you can see when I slice it clean and nice, we come down here and we get a nice clean cut here. But this is where I just pushed it in. And as you can see, the styrofoam has broken. We've got this little extra piece here. We're gonna have to pop that off, and then we'll have to come in with a knife later, kind of clean it up, try to make it look a little better, and round this edge. Anyway, so as you can see, if possible, if you need to put your knife in, you don't really want to punch it in, okay? So on this piece here, I'm not going to be able to make this turn. So I'm going to have to kind of come in this way, and I'm going to have to come in again this way. And I will come in, for this round piece, I will come in around this way, maybe a couple cuts. So you can, like I said, you can turn it a little bit, but it doesn't turn very well. So I want to go in this way, and I also want to go in this way to this corner. So there's nothing to do here but to go ahead and put your knife in. And in this case, what I do is I find my line wherever I want to put it, and I go ahead and I just kind of start slicing along the line. And then once you get kind of into your thing, then into your styrofoam, then you can straighten out your piece, straighten out your knife, and start cutting. And that sort of fixes our issue a little bit. So I'll go ahead and put that in, start kind of cutting like this, and then I'll get my knife straight, come down into this turn, or come down, sorry, not turn, corner, then turn it around, find that cut line you had there. It's here somewhere. Get your knife in there, and again, then go back this way towards this corner. And again, you can't really turn it too much, so I'm going to just go ahead and stop there. Then I would come in from the top here. You can actually come in at a little angle, come in to this corner, and that should work for you. Once we've got our pieces, we're going to paint them here in just a minute. Sorry, you can't see, but got some pieces here, and now we're going to sand them. It's hard to really tell, but it's kind of porousy. It's got a lot of pores. And when you paint these, you can paint them just like this. It's fine. It's a texture, and if you like it, hey, knock yourself out. Problem is that with all of these little holes in here, you end up using a lot of paint. The paint's going to get down in there, and it's just going to take more paint than is necessary. So you can sand it. One of the things about sanding it is also we can get rid of some of these lines. It's, again, not so necessary because we're going to paint it, but if you are putting sort of a thin layer of paint, sometimes the lines do show up. But I have this tool which I found at the local home center. It's got just kind of a coarse sanding thing. It works really well. So I love this, but you can use some different kinds of sponges, will work as well. This is a little plate, and you put a piece of sandpaper on it. You can do a very large surface with that. Again, just as a preference, I like this. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a sanding. Okay, you can just kind of brush it clean there, and then you can, hopefully you can see, our lines are all gone. The actual surface is a lot smoother. So, like I said, when we paint, the paint will spread a lot better across this, and you won't use as much paint. Okay, one other thing you might want to just a quick tip. Let's say you wanted to round an edge. You can round it by sanding, but I don't do that because, sanding just causes a whole bunch of dust and trash and that kind of thing. So if you know you're going to be rounding something, or you're going to, you want to sand it down a lot, if at all possible, just go ahead and, take your knife, make it near the shape you want. Then later on, you're just going to go down, you're going to go back over it, sand it. Okay, so let's go back. I mean, then all you need to do, so I've kind of made this, I don't know if it's, anyway, kind of made this a little round. Now I'm just going to just barely get rid of my shave lines, and boom, it's done. You're done. You got a nice round edge, and just saves you, you know, a little cleanup maybe.
All right, so we got kind of our base paint done. We're gonna glue some crap together. Okay, so we have finished gluing our pumpkins together for the most part. And we got them here. This guy's got his stems separated, but what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and paint all of the little ones for just tonight. And what we'll do is, to start, we're gonna paint them entirely orange. After we get them all orange and beautiful, then we will go back and we will do some shading. One thing, again, I said about the paints is to make sure that you use a water-based house paint, water-based paint of some sort. You cannot use spray paint. If you use spray paint, it will eat the foam, the aerosol will eat the foam, and you will have to, you'll have a puddle of styrofoam, which won't be good to anybody. So don't use spray paint. You want to use water-based house paint. So let's get these painted up. Here we are, all painted. I haven't done his eyes yet, but anyway, all orange. Here we go. Another one, you know, all orange. All right, so we paint this all orange. We get them all going. And the reason that I like to put them together and paint them all at once is because what we're going to do next is we're going to do a little bit of shading. Now this is kind of the hard part. I don't know why I don't want to say hard part. It's kind of, for me it is anyway, how much and where, you know, because to be honest, I really don't have a plan. I just start throwing a little bit of black here and there, and then we're gonna rub that in. So the reason you want to do this when it's, you know, well, maybe there's like a little, you know, shadow here. Definitely right around the eyes here, in the bottom of the eyes, you know. Kind of want some shadows. You want to do this with while the paint is wet, because we're going to be able to blend this in a little bit better. If it's dry, obviously it's not going to blend much at all. You know, just throw a little edge on that. There's some here. It really is. It's quite Bob Ross for me. It's just like, oh, there's like a little happy shadow here. So the outside edges, where you want it to look a little bit more rounder, like here, definitely you want to put some on it there. If you get like a sort of a, what would you call this, an inner part, you know, it should be a little bit darker.
You can throw some, a little bit here, there, kind of even like a, you know, hey, make them round, like a little bit of a pumpkin line. There you go. Like this is actually round. Okay, so we put on a little bit of black. I just, again, just throw a little bit black here and there. Maybe the inside of the mouth here is a little bit darker. Okay, then we take our, I'm gonna take the brush I was using, and I'm just gonna kind of go over this. This is the brush I was using to put on the orange, and we can just shade it. There you go. Smooth that in, and you can see how it kind of blends in together there. And it gets a little softer. When these do dry, they dry a little bit more subtle. That's the other thing that one of the other things I found, that when you're doing it, when I'm doing it here like this, it looks really bold, and you know, once it dries, it's not as bold as it appears right now. Oh, look, we don't have any shadowing on this here. Let's just throw right here. Let's just throw it. The reason you want to do this is because, well, as soon as I'm done with this, I can show you. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop doing this. I'll show you another one. So again, here we have our pristine. Oh, he's so orange. Now we come over here, and you can see how the shadow, I've already done this one, shadow gives you, you know, just so much more character. You know, I've done this one as well. And if you're not happy with your shading, you can always go back and just, you know, recoat it with orange and do it again. But you definitely want to try to give it some shading, because that's just way too orange and not you know, it looks plasticky, doesn't look natural. But when you get over here and look at these guys, I mean, he's kind of dirty, he's kind of old, so the shading is good. I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up. You guys don't need to watch all that.
Okay, here we are, all done. We got them painted, shaded, and here are the mascots that the little pumpkin jack-o'-lantern guys that we made up here. You know, I mean, you've kind of seen the whole process. Here's what it finally ends up looking like. I do go ahead and paint the back, except for I missed this spot. Don't look at that. Okay, I'll get that later. That's part of the stem, which detaches, because I'm going to send these to some friends. These little ones. Anyway, that's what they look like. Again, one of the nice things about this is it's very light, even though it's quite large. You know, so here you go. I paint the back. You do not need to do that. It kind of, you know, it just uses up more paint, but I'm a little bit particular. My wife uses a different word. Anyway, we don't use that word. I just like to paint the back. Again, it does use up more paint. One of the things that a lot of people ask me is, how much does this cost, or how long does it take? Both, how much does it cost, how long does it take? To paint the little ones, it took me about 20 minutes to do the orange for each of the little ones. The larger ones took longer. This really, the Big Mama, took about 45 minutes to paint orange, and then shading really only takes about 5 minutes. The other large one took a little bit less time, about 35, 40 minutes. I actually timed these just so I can tell you guys. The cost is really based upon how big you want to make them. And it also will probably vary depending upon where you are. However, let's just go through it. I spent about $30 on the sheets, the styrofoam sheets, to make all of these. That was enough to make all of these. And the paint itself, the paint cost about $25 to $30. Depending, again, it's going to depend on how much you buy and how much you want to create. So, I mean, in the end, I want to say that one of these costs you about anywhere from you can do it from $10 to $30, less than $25 to make them. So anyway, great. You can make these, you can make other things. You definitely, if you have any questions, you want to see some other things that I create, leave comments. Let me know if there's anything I can explain about. I want to try to wrap this up and not spend a bunch of time, but I hope you make some really cool stuff, and I'd love to see it. Anyway, good luck. Happy Halloween.